issues of the 2024 election, as defined by the candidates themselves.
Have been convicted or pled guilty. Collectively to date, they have been sentenced to more than 840 years in prison.
If you think that was a summary of the pressing issues, perhaps you should consider a Japanese Shishi-odoshi and contemplate the concept of mono no aware, sadness at the ephemeral nature of the world. It's a brand new legal standard in our country, however, to hold a public speaker calling for peaceful protest accountable for the actions of total strangers.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Today we will see whether Republicans stand strong for integrity.
In 2020, Democratic Party officials across the country called for violent rioting, looting, and arson in response to the death of George Floyd. They saw political capital to be made over his death, and they made it plain to the looters and arsonists that they would not be charged for any crimes or billed for the damages incurred or the lost merchandise that they stole in protesting on behalf of George Floyd. This has been proven to be the case. You don't see 840 years of sentences for George Floyd rioters and arsonists. As Trump prosecuting District Judge Tanya Chutkan opined, the January 6 rioters were a violent mob seeking to overthrow the lawfully elected government. In fact, she objected to Black Lives Matter comparisons being made in January 6 cases. Judge Chutkan, before being appointed a prosecuting judge by the Department of Justice, said, "Some have compared what took place on January 6 with other protests that took place throughout the country through the past year, meaning 2020, and have suggested that the Capitol rioters are being treated unfairly," Chutkan said during a sentencing hearing. "I flatly disagree. You have to understand the distinction. An approved Democratic Party protest, no matter how violent, no matter how many billions of dollars of damage that is taken, especially to minority-owned businesses. None of that matters because the goal is to expand the power of the Democratic Party. A protest on behalf of Donald Trump does not expand the power of the Democratic Party, and therefore will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Our system of government is not set up to simply permit protests on behalf of one political party and that political party only. That's why we have equal justice under law." For his part, President Donald Trump started the new year releasing an op-ed column in the Des Moines Register. "Donald Trump, this is how I will end Joe Biden's border disaster on day one." Published January 3, 2024. The most urgent task facing the next president is to end Joe Biden's nation-wrecking nightmare on our southern border. I am the only candidate who will stop this invasion, and I will do it on day one. Under the Trump administration, we had the most secure border in U.S. history. We ended catch and release and removed over 1 million illegal aliens in my first term. I negotiated unprecedented agreements with Central American nations and brokered Remain in Mexico to stop the flow of migrants to our border. I also got the Mexican government to deploy tens of thousands of soldiers to the border free of charge. Every step of the way, we fought obstructionist left-wing judges and radical Democrat activists who tried to stop us, and we won. Now, I got 2 articles here to cite for this caption. Now you are witnessing the disastrous results. We have the highest number of illegal border crossings in history by far. Nearly 250,000 migrants crossed in November 2023 alone, and that's a likely vast undercount. Migrants are overwhelming our cities. Drugs, criminals, gang members, and terrorists are pouring in. On my first day back in office, I will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration and immediately restore the full set of strong Trump border policies. Then we will begin a record-setting deportation operation. Joe Biden has given us no choice. The millions of illegal aliens who have invaded under Biden require a record number of removals. This is just common sense. To achieve this goal, I will make clear to every department and to state and local governments that we must use all resources and authorities available. We will shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement, including parts of the DEA, ATF, FBI, and DHS. Personally, I don't know why we have so many U.S. military bases all over the country, and not one of them is tasked with defending our country's borders. Why don't we have all these tanks deployed to every border point, put the troops on permanent bivouac until the illegal immigration crisis is halted? I also will invoke the Alien Enemies Act to remove known or suspected gang members, drug dealers, or cartel members from the United States. And we will use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis at last. Joe Biden is leaving behind a catastrophe of historic proportions. The next president must secure the border while also stopping inflation, saving the economy, cleaning up Washington corruption, restoring peace through strength, and preventing World War III. That would seem to be an important priority. We do not have time for on-the-job training. Unlike every other candidate, with me there is no question. I promise you that I will get this job done. Iowans want secure borders. You must send that message with your vote. Show up on January 15th and vote to stop the invasion by caucusing for Donald J. Trump. So there you have it. Both candidates have defined what is important to them in the 2024 election. Is it sentencing for January 6 rioters?
They have been sentenced to more than 840 years in prison.
Or the open border that Joe Biden has created? Thank you.